there's something like that going on, and it's real. It really affected us then. So if we benefit from it now, it's not a crime.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
We'll move over to the stock market now to tell you that the stock market closed on a positive note this Wednesday for the second time this week. The all-share index appreciated by 0.56% to settle at 51,377.21 basis points. 229.36 million shares valued at 3.196 billion naira in 4,536 deals were traded by investors. Owando, FCMB and UBA.
European stocks were lower Thursday as global markets see renewed volatility after a brief recovery following last week's tumultuous trading. DAX was unchanged. FTSE dipped 0.88% and CAC 0.58%. Chinese stocks led gains in a mixed trading session in Asia Pacific as investors continue to monitor recession concerns on Thursday. Mainland Chinese market struggled for direction initially but closed in the green. The Shanghai Composite was up 1.52% at 3,316.92. Hong Kong Hang Seng Index briefly rose 1.69%, and in Japan, the Nikkei 225 was mildly higher at 26,171.25. U.S. stock futures declined early Thursday after the major indices slipped into the red at the end of regular trading, and investors weighed the likelihood of a recession after Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell acknowledged it's a possibility. The S&P 500 futures fell 0.34%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average futures skipped 0.3%, and Nasdaq 100 futures dropped 0.3%, while figures are yet to roll in for African markets. Boss said the Able Business Express.
And this is where we end this episode of the program. Don't forget, you can access all previous episodes on YouTube on the NTS channel. You can also communicate with us via our social media handles. We value your feedback, so do join us again Friday. Keep the comments, questions, and suggestions coming. The program returns at 3 p.m. My name is Leah Katem. Bye-bye today.
NTA, you can't beat the rich. From dusk to dawn, 24 hours a day, NTA International is with you in your living room, office, everywhere and anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to the STV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview UK channel 264, or you can download www.visiontv.co.uk. App for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. It doesn't matter who you are, good Nigerian girls. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's be together. How can we develop? We're always in crisis. Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's be together.
Hello and welcome to the news at 10 live on NTA News 24. We're broadcasting from our studio here in Abuja. I'm Comfort Amodu. Thanks for joining us. Let's bring you the headlines. Minister of Labour expresses optimism that ongoing ASUU strike will soon be brought to an end. In security, House of Representatives urges federal government to recruit more personnel into various security agencies. In All Progressive Congress, National Chairman Abdullahi Adamu meets Senate caucus over defections. President Muhammad Buhari is currently in Kigali, Rwanda, ahead of the 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, Chogam. State House correspondent Adam Osambo reports that the meeting is being hosted in Africa for the first time since 2007.
President Muhammadu Buhari arrived Kanombe International Airport, Kigali, at 9 o'clock Wednesday evening local time. On hand to accord him a befitting welcome were both the Rwandan and Nigerian top government officials. The president will be joining other leaders to participate in discussions focusing on the progress and prosperity of the more than 2 billion people living in the 54 Commonwealth member countries under the theme Delivering a Common Future, Connecting, Innovating, Transforming. The heads of state and government are expected to reaffirm their commitment to upholding the Commonwealth Charter, which focuses on democracy, human rights, the rule of law, as well as economic opportunities and sustainable development. Wide-ranging topical issues including post-COVID-19 economic recovery, debt sustainability, climate change, poverty reduction, youth entrepreneurship, and food security are scheduled for consideration at a high-level engagement.
For every Commonwealth country, Chogam is always a very important meeting because there you discuss issues that are common to over 50 countries of the world that belong to the Commonwealth. So if you are a Commonwealth country and you are left out of it, then you're like a pariah nation. So it is very important that the Nigerian president is here. He is going to make keynote addresses. He's going to talk on key issues like curbing the malaria threat in Africa. He's going to talk about the post-COVID economy. He's going to talk about climate. It's going to talk about security. The theme is delivering a common future. So it's going to talk around that theme. And most importantly, in his speech, he's going to bid farewell to other Commonwealth leaders, because he will tell them that this is his last Commonwealth meeting as the Nigerian head of state.
On the margins of the meeting, the Nigerian leader is scheduled to hold bilateral talks with some leaders from the Commonwealth countries, during which issues of common interest will be discussed. From Kigali, Rwanda, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And back home in Nigeria, State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports that the Federal Executive Council has approved the repeal of the Produce Enforcement of Standards Act of 2004 and the enactment of the Federal Produce Inspection Service Bill 2022.
Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, says the justification for the memo is primarily to have an all-encompassing produce inspection regime in Nigeria that is capable of ensuring the best practices in the export of produce from the country.
The old law, the original law was enacted in 1950. And then it was renewed in 2004. And we believe that it is time for it to be brought up to date, and that is what we have done. And Council approved that it's approved it, and it will be passed on to the National Assembly. Council directed that the Attorney General and Minister of Justice transmit it to the National Assembly.
He also speaks on the second memo he presented to the Council.
The second memo that we brought was for Council to approve the award of contracts for consultancy services for the pre-development of the Funtua Integrated Textile and Garment Park in Katsina State, and for the Medical Tourism Park in Lekki Special Economic Zone in Lagos State, in a total sum of about 1.4 billion naira.
The minister says government is getting the private sector involved in the management and development of the Kano and Calabar economic zones.
Today, we brought to Council a memo for an ENSITF by which the operations will now be digitalized. Both the payments that are put in from any of their stations, they have 56 branches and 11 regional offices. So in the comfort of your office, you can pay, and it registered in that platform, and that money is now tracked into a central pool.
In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
If all goes as planned, the ongoing industrial action by the Academic Staff Union of Universities may soon be laid to rest. Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige says government is calling for a meeting with all principal actors to further iron out the grey areas. In any briefing, the media at the presidential villa in Abuja after the Federal Executive Council meeting, the minister says it is not true that no one is talking with the union, stressing that the Salaries and Wages Commission, NIGDA, and the union are currently working on the right payment platform, which would be useful to all unions. Determined to significantly improve the human development indices in West Africa, the National Economic Council, chaired by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, is hosting an international forum to launch the Integrated Regional Human Capital Development Strategy. The conference, scheduled for Abuja this Thursday, will have in attendance leaders in the public and private sectors across the ECOWAS sub-region, reviewing strategies on human capital development, while the launch of the integrated strategy document will be the high point of the event. And ahead of the Forum on Integrated Regional Human Capital Development Strategy, Professor Osinbajo has urged improved cooperation among West African countries to address the issues of healthcare access, out-of-school children, among other human development indices. The Vice President stated this when he received the Prime Minister of Guinea-Bissau on a courtesy visit to the presidential villa Abuja. The Prime Minister is visiting Nigeria to attend a meeting on ECOWAS Integrated Regional Human Capital Development. On this part, the Prime Minister extolled the leadership qualities of President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. He extended the greetings and message of President Embalo, noting that the President of Guinea-Bissau and himself will always work to improve relations between both countries. And the Prime Minister will also speak at the conference today. It appears that the regulatory framework for private-public partnership in Nigeria will soon become more stringent. The Senate is considering a bill to that effect. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo reports that the bill, which has passed second reading, seeks to repeal the Infrastructure Concession Regulatory Commission Act.
This is the second and last plenary of the week with improved attendance. Some senators now sitting in new positions following chains of defection. Report on the Public-Private Partnership Regulatory Commission bill was one of the three considered. The proposed law, sponsored by Senator Adamu Alero, is to ensure transparency and efficiency in supervising service of development projects and ensure value for money.
Its passage will strengthen the Commission to further attract private sector participation in our infrastructure development.
This is one piece of legislation that will change the landscape of funding systems of our infrastructure in the country.
The bill that seeks to establish in vitro fertilization authority to regulate and strengthen the practice of reproductive technology, sponsored by Senator Jibrin Barau, and the National Commission on Child Destitution Establishment Bill by Senator Aliyu Wamako, passed second reading.
These include the appropriate balance between legislation, regulation, and reproductive freedom, stroke liberty.
This technology has brought succor to families, and that is why I support it.
After consultation with state and local government and other relevant stakeholders, we take master plan for total eradication of child destitution in Nigeria.
Senate is to investigate the oil mining leases granted to Shell Petroleum Development Company from 1959 to 2019, alleged to have shortchanged federal government of $200 million, as moved by Senator George Thompson Sekibo. President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, directed the Committee on Judiciary to engage the Chief Justice of Nigeria on how to address the current crisis in the Supreme Court.
So I will urge our Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to get involved and find out what the real issues are and how the National Assembly can help.
Party switching continued on the floor of the Senate. Senator Ezenwa Onyewuchi, representing Imo East, bid farewell to PDP as he joined Labour Party, while Senator Halilu Jika of APC, representing Bauchi Central, embraced NNPP as his new political party. APC now has 65 senators, PDP 38, NNPP 3, ABGA 1, YPP 1, and Labour Party 1. Senate is to screen the 7 ministerial nominees next week Wednesday. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the Senate requesting the confirmation of Mohammed Shehu as Chairman of Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. This is in line with the provision of Section 154, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. Senate has confirmed the appointment of Dr. Hale Longpet for appointment as Resident Electorate Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission. State Committee on INEC, which screened the nominee from Plateau State, described him as qualified for the INEC position.
As a Resident Electoral Commissioner in the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and congratulations to him.
Now, the House of Representatives has made a case for the employment of more recruits into the service of the various security agencies to further enhance the fight against insecurity. And this came up when the Representative Bolos Marin brought to the attention of the House of the abduction of a traditional ruler by bandits in Plateau State. Details with State National Assembly correspondent Lani Ali.
The abduction, Representative Marin said, was carried out in the early hours of Monday this week.
The bandits, who were more than 40 in number, came heavily armed, shooting sporadically and firing gunshots, which left the community scared, helpless, and eventually went away with the traditional ruler.
Through the Office of the National Security Advisor, through the Office of the Director of DSS, and I want to tell you, they have done more than enough, those two. The information gathering and intelligence is perfect. At times they give the direction and even where they are meeting. But it's the implementing agency where even if you are going to recruit the entire villages now and give them this like arms, somebody carrying an arm, a gun that can discharge 100 bullets in one round, how will you face it?
The Borno model that I want to recommend for the state governments in the various affected states to equally fund and support is the formation of a very robust vigilante groups.
Another motion from Mohammed Jega on last week's flood in Gwandu and Jega, Kebbi State, in which lives were lost, saw House members calling for assistance to those affected.
The flood has resulted into untold hardship on the affected communities. Many communities in these local government areas are also living in total darkness due to the destroyed electrical installations.
5 bills passed second reading, including the bill to establish Chartered Institute of Cooperative and Social Enterprise, sponsored by Benjamin Kalu, and the bill seeking the establishment of Federal College of Education Technical Gwaram, Jigawa State, sponsored by Shitu Yusuf Galambi. The House Committee on Electoral Matters has briefed the House on the decision by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to extend the period of the continuous voters registration exercise.
It has become imperative that it has to be extended, and not just extending, but also additionally, it will be done even during weekends. He has agreed to that, and he is going to make statement, inshallah, very soon to that effect. So that extension also involves additional machines, additional ad hoc staff, and of course, he's going to collaborate with the security agencies.
The House had last week passed a resolution urging INEC to extend the period for the continuous voters registration. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Many thanks, Lami Ali, for that report, and we take a break now. More reports after this time out.
NTA News 24.
Welcome back. Data obtained from the Debt Management Office says Nigerian's debt servicing bill has increased by 109% to 896.56 billion naira. We join Alika Panachi Arwa for details of this.
The data also shows that the country has spent 3.83 trillion naira on debt servicing payments in 15 months, while a total of 2.93 trillion naira was spent on debt servicing payments in 2021. A total of 896.56 billion naira was spent in the first quarter of 2022. Meanwhile, between October and December 2021, Nigeria spent 310.5 billion naira on domestic debt servicing, while it spent $286.35 million on external debt servicing, giving a total of 429.4 billion naira. However, between January and March 2022, Nigeria spent 668.69 billion naira on domestic debt servicing, while it spent $548.79 million on external debt servicing, giving a total of 896.56 billion naira. With business news, Alika Opanachi Harwa.
Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the Buhari administration will continue to give support to states, irrespective of the party in power. The minister also discloses that the Federal Executive Council has approved a memo presented by the Minister of Works in favor of Yobe State for a refund of money expended on road projects on behalf of the federal government. State House correspondent Jide Unifadi reports.
24 states, as Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed says, have been refunded monies spent on behalf of the previous government, and the latest that got the nod of the Federal Executive Council for reimbursement is Yobe State.
A committee at ASUU was set up to inspect the claim. They were actually found to be true. They were reviewed, and from the 20 billion they asked for, and certified 18 billion naira as refund due to Yobe State.
Minister Lai Mohammed, who is standing in for the Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, at the press briefing, takes on the second memo approved for the Ministry of Works and Housing.
Given the population of Gwarimpa now, they need not 2, but actually 3, MVA injection substations, and that contract was approved today.
And the sum of 1.6 billion naira. And the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
And the Independent National Electoral Commission has presented to Ekiti Governor-elect Biodun Oyebanji the certificate of return. At the ceremony in Ado, Ekiti, the National Commission in charge of Lagos, Ekiti, Oyo, and Osun State gave an assurance that the commission would build on the achievement recorded during the Ekiti election for future elections in the country. And we now join the State House for the live weekly briefing, where Director Bureau of Public Reforms, Dr. Dasuki Arabi, will be highlighting the activities of the agency.
Is to make sure that we initiate, we coordinate, we monitor and report reforms either set up by us or other agencies of government. For your information, the Bureau of Public Service Reforms is stated under the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. We have a council that we call National Council of Reforms that is chaired by the President and Commander-in-Chief. All members of the Federal Executive Council are members. Steering Committee is chaired by the SGF, and heads of agencies and the head of service are all members of that committee. Now, in all the work that we are doing, we work in collaboration with all agencies of government. So you'll be hearing in the course of our presentation, there are some things that we have initiated, and there are some reform initiatives that have been initiated by other agencies of government. There is no building that will stand the test of time like this hall without a plan. Now, for us, we've been working around a document that we call the National Strategy on Public Service Reforms, which is the coordinating document for all the work that we have been doing. In the course of preparing the NSPSI, the President had approved an interministerial task team from within and outside the Federal Public Service, from the private sector, development partners, civil society groups who have special interests in governance and what they think and feel government should do to the citizens of this country. Working with this team, we produced this document that has 4 pillars. Pillar 1 is looking at institutional and governance environment. How can we turn the position and the status of ministries, departments, and agencies of government to be world-class, to be among the best in the world? How can we make them corruption-friendly, free? How can we make them comfortable for our customers to come and transact with us? This pillar is driven by the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, and we have other agencies of government that are members of that team. Pillar 2 is looking at enabling socio-economic environment, and we are very proud to say that this document formed the basis for the production of the ERGP program of government that ended last year and laid the foundation for the current national development program that government is driving. Pillar 3 is looking at public financial management driven by the Minister of Finance, and what we have set to achieve, I'm going to discuss this further, is to make sure that we have digitalized public financial management at the federal level. In the course of my discussion, I will show you what we have done and to celebrate the success we have achieved by transforming public financial management in Nigerian federal public service from paper to paperless. Pillar 4 is looking at civil service administration. It's driven by the office of the head of civil service of the Federation. Now, you cannot have an agency or a government that is not properly equipped with the best staff at hand to deliver government services, projects, and development of policies. So that is what Pillar 4 is looking at. Our vision and the vision of this strategy is for us to have a public service that is working, given the best that we can. And most importantly, to get Nigerian public service to be among the first 20 in the world by the year 2025. On the next slide. Now, this is the phase movement of reforms in Nigeria. From 2017, we started the reinvigorating stage to get all the MDA sensitized, ready for the transformation. We have passed that. We got to the transformation stage where some aspects of transformation are taking place, are being implemented. And the third phase is to get us to world class by the year 2025. It is of interest to me and to you to know that as I'm talking to you, some agencies of government in Nigeria have already reached that level of world class. There is never a month that will pass that we don't receive a delegation coming from outside Nigeria to come and study how Nigeria reform its tax system, how Nigeria is implementing Treasury Single Account, how Nigeria is implementing IPPIS and many. Now, we have picked agencies of government that have reached that stage, Inland Revenue Service, Security and Exchange Commission, Corporate Affairs Commission, and many others. So if we have those building blocks coming together closer, we are confident that by the year 2025, we'll be where we are supposed to be. Now, because of time, we'll go through this brief. Every pillar has a developmental objective. Where do you want to be? Where are we? And it has a building blocks, that is the agencies of government that will work together and push Nigeria to that level, or the Nigerian public service to be where it should be. On the next slide, and we have what we call quick wins of reforms. In the course of our discussion, you will see that we have virtually achieved most of the quick wins that we have said we are going to achieve. On the next slide. Now, the same thing, development objective, building blocks of the pillars. On the next slide. Please go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Now, what have we been doing in terms of reforms? Either as Bureau of Public Service reforms or as federal government of Nigeria driving reforms. On the previous slide, please. You are faster than me. Good. Okay, yes, this is how it should be. Now, yes, in line with the aspirations of the NSPSR and the Bureau of Public Service Reforms, working with members of the Public Service Reform team, we have led the transformation of the tax system in Nigeria. Those of us that are within the cockpit of tax 20 years ago will accept, sir, that we have really transformed tax system in Nigeria. From the comfort of your house, you can pay your tax, you can retrieve your tax clearance certificate, you can do your assessments. Without you going as a customer of Nigerian Public Service, you apply or you bid for a contract, you don't have to give us your tax clearance certificate. Online, we can check that. Immediately you put in your name, Inland Revenue Service will show whether you have any tax arrears or you have paid. Corporate Affairs Commission will show us whether you have registered or you have not registered. There is an integration of the system, especially around data collection for utilization of key agencies of government. We have reformed the budget system. We have also reformed public financial management, as I said. We created IPPIS, which has succeeded in reducing ghost workers within the public service. It has improved management of data and record of the public servants, and the government and anybody concerned can, at a pinch of a button, see how many people are on the payroll of federal government and how much is federal government paying them. We have succeeded in initiating the GIFMIS, a government integrated management information system, where government is looking at all its expenditure in a pot. At the touch of a button, we can see who is spending what and where is this, or where are these monies going to. We have introduced the Treasury Single Account, which has succeeded in bringing together all revenues of government into one basket. And at the touch of a button too, those concerned authorized will be able to see how much we have gotten as revenue today, how much did we get yesterday, and who is benefiting from. Now, we have transited 100% in management of government funds and resources from paper to paperless. This is the most successful aspect of transformation of public service. In 2004, when we started talking about Treasury Single Account, I remember somebody said, Dr. Adegoro, you don't know what you are doing. How can you tell me that all the money going to government should go into one account? There will be trouble in this country. And the president came, President Muhammadu Buhari said, from today, all agencies must be on TSA. People cried, and complained. Today, all of us are here, and we're enjoying the benefit of that transformation. We have succeeded in reducing the number of ministries, restructuring the ministries, reducing the size of the departments and ministries. We have evolved and created what we call FOI portal. In compliance with FOI law passed by federal government and our commitment to OGP, we have directed, based on the instruction of the president through the SGF, that all agencies of government must have FOI portal on their website to simplify requests for information on government activities by citizens. We have also conducted a lot of capacity development programs on FOI because of the importance the president or this government have attached to transparency, fighting corruption, and providing information on government activity. That was why when this invitation came, I said I will cut off all my activities to come here and talk to you. We have also developed a framework for gathering information on what you call monitoring and evaluation of reforms, either started by us or other agencies of government. One of the conditions of setting up the Bureau was for us to prepare civil servants, public servants to exit the service. One of those things that we initiated was or is pre-retirement training to get public servants trained before they exit the service, so that as they exit, they'll have something else to be doing. Information is wealth, information is gold, information is money. So we have done quite a number of capacity development programs for information officers to see how we can help them to upskill and reskill and to be able to use the modern technology and means of communication to provide information to citizens. On the next slide. We do what we call institutional assessment of ministries, departments, and agencies of government. These are some of them that we have just picked. Universal basic education, why did we go there? There has been this urge for us to improve the quality of standard of our education. And government has been spending quite a lot of money to improve that through the universal basic education. We did a full assessment of this, and we're happy to tell you that our recommendations have been accepted by government, and a lot of transformation is taking place in UBIC. We have, looking at the complaint around police and the justice system, we did this assessment of the police complaint and rapid response unit. Bail is free. We know bail is free, but at a stage somebody say it's not free. So we did a study on that, and we have advised government on how to digitalize almost all the police formations that we have in this country. And we are glad to say that that has started. Police Service Commission is the employer of police. And we have, looking at the importance of police in providing security, we did institutional assessment of that and the National Human Rights Commission. Working with the European Union, we looked at the bottlenecks around getting information and accessing services by Nigerians on selected sectors or agencies of government. We looked at NIMSI, Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Nigeria Immigration Service, and Corporate Affairs Commission. The essence of that was to identify the bottlenecks and see how we can simplify the way they work. At the end of this work, on the next slide, at the end of this work, we have succeeded in getting Nigeria to have a national database, which is centered and stated in NIMSI. What that has done is an ecosystem has been created around data generation and management in Nigeria, and a group of data utilizing agencies have been linked together so that if you are looking for, you're applying for passport now and you have your name, you don't have to go all through the stages. Once immigration links to NIMSI, they will be able to get the information they are looking for. The same thing with Federal Inland Revenue Service. The same thing with Corporate Affairs Commission. What is important to us, and I think to all of you again, is what else after that? Data generation has been simplified. It has come into one port, and private sector have been given the opportunity and privilege to work around that, to generate business and generate employment for the teeming unemployed youth that we have in this country. We have done what we call impact assessment and surveys. The essence of doing that is to have a feel and a touch from the public on whether they are aware of what government is doing and what they think we need to do better in terms of reforms and the policies that we are introducing. These are some among the few that we have done on freedom of information, administrative burden on TSA, statutes of pension reforms, presidential executive orders, anti-corruption, education reforms, IT, and tackling youth unemployment. At the end of all these studies that we do, reports are produced and policy briefs are produced, which are sent to the Federal Executive Council for consideration. And they set the roadmap for government to address and tackle some of the problems that we have identified. Specifically, I want to say when we worked with the Economic Summit Group and development partners on youth unemployment, one of the recommendations was for government to create massive jobs. And that was where the idea of 750,000 jobs created by government came on board. And we are glad that that has materialized. A lot of youth have been employed. Now, we have done what we call functional review of ministries, departments, and agencies. And some of us will be seeing that where you go and see director admin, now you go and see director human resources. You see director planning. You see director research and statistics. So these are all part of the reforms that have been taking place to restructure the ministries so that they will be able to address the present challenges and provide service as the new changes are evolving over time. We have done what we call filling a tap of the reforms that we have been doing over time. And you know, the more changes or as reforms are coming on board, they are coming with their own problems and challenges. A lot of us have turned onto IT in terms of generating data, providing information. And by the other side, there are people that are trying to hack and obtain information on our finances, on our data. That has given birth to financial intelligence services working, departments working, financial intelligence unit coming or being created to address some of these challenges. On the next slide, please. The Bureau of Public Service Reforms is a member. The Bureau of Public Service Reform is a member and secretariat on the committee set up by government to rebrand the public service. Government has intended to rebrand the public service so that we'll have a one structure, one color, and one vision. So that you go to a ministry, you see that the mission, the vision is almost the same. It's only that the mandates are different. So the approach to how we get that is different. We have done quite a lot on this, and we're hoping that the final validation of the report will be done in the next 1 month. Please go back. We are a member of the Policy and Innovation Unit of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group. That makes us members of the think tank of NESG. And whatever they are coming up in terms of policy and activities, Bureau of Public Service Reforms is part of it. We are member secretariat Presidential Committee on Rationalization of Ministries, Departments and Agencies of Government. We're a member Technical Committee on National Seats Council of Nigeria. Somebody will ask why. We have seen that because of global changes, because of environmental changes and problems farmers are facing in terms of low yields of production, we discovered and identified that Nigeria must have a seed bank, and the seed bank must be populated with seeds that have been improved. So that while you have flood in Jigawa State mid-rainy season, we have enough seedlings in the seed bank that can be distributed to the farmers, and they will still be able to harvest something at the end of the season. We are also member technical committee on implementation of the federal government e-government master plan. We are members steering committee on OGP in Nigeria. We are member steering committee on anti-corruption in Nigeria. On the next slide. We have taken the move to address some of the problems some of you have noted. The poor relationship between chief executives and board members, or between board members and chief executives of agencies of government. You are in the know that some boards were dissolved, some chief executives were removed because of these differences. So we introduced what we call induction program for chief executives and newly appointed board members. You will know that most of these people appointed as board members have never worked in the public service. So they come in with little or no experience on public service, process, procedures, and how to even give approvals. We got the approval of the president to introduce this induction program, which has been institutionalized. Every chief executive that is coming or board member must pass through that induction program. You'll be seeing as we go further, we have produced what we call corporate governance manual to guide the operation of these agencies by the chief executives and the board members. We have also succeeded in conducting the induction program on some of these agencies. We are currently in the process of inducting 10 other agencies. I know some of you will be covering the event when it commences. These are some of the pictures that we snapped during the previous induction programs. On the next slide, please. The citizen access service directly from agencies of government, not ministries. Ministries develop policies and programs, but parastatals or agencies implement those programs. Based on that, and looking at the poor response and the comments that we get from citizens, we develop what we call a self-assessment tool, which is an IT-based tool that we use to check the strength with solutions, not only to give to the agencies, but we help them to address the challenges and the problems. Government has approved and directed that this tool be implemented in all ministries, departments, and agencies of government. We have done quite a number and we are doing more. In the next 1 or 2 weeks, some of the results will be released and we hope you will be there to cover that event. The hope and the spirit behind this is not to shame and disgrace, but as insiders to identify what are their problems and how government can address those problems. Going further, it gives government the opportunity to know what is happening in these agencies of government. On the next slide, please. To guide the process, we have produced what we call How to Manage and Reform Agencies and Parastatals of Government. These are some of the agencies that we have deployed self-assessment to. Currently, a team of BPSI is doing it somewhere else. On the next slide. To hold chief executives again responsible to answer their parents' needs, we introduce what we call lunchtime seminar series, where we invite heads of agencies of government to come and talk to Nigerians, talk to public servants on their mandates and the work they have been doing. We have been doing this over a very long time. At the end of every 3 years, we publish the papers presented with our comments and government's views and advice on their activities. These are some of the agencies that we have done. And in the process, we have generated a lot of data and statistics that is helping government to take decisions that concerns the mandate and what is expected out of the agencies that have come. On the next slide. I have told you that one of our mandates is to do monitoring and evaluation. We have developed a framework for doing that. At the end of every 3 years, we produce what we call Compendium of Public Service Reforms. It is a one-stop shop where you can get information on all reform initiatives at the federal level, either done by us or other agencies of government. We are currently producing 2018-2021 compendium, and we hope the president will be in position to launch that in the next 3 weeks, God's willing. The soft copy of this is on our website, and we'll be showing some of this as we proceed. On the next slide. Something happened in 2015 where a lot of people thought there will be crisis and there will be an end, that may be the end of Nigeria. And we saw a ruling party losing election to an opposition party. And we thought, as a research agency of government, we need to celebrate that transition that became peaceful, and we are still at peace in this country. So to celebrate that, we produced this book that we call in the next elections. On the next slide. We are a research agency of government. Part of the work that we do, we publish them as books, we share them to research institutions, and we forward them to Federal Executive Council and government to tidy up on some of the things that we are doing. You are aware that government is just introducing performance management on the system. To guide that transition, the Bureau have produced what we call Handbook for Performance Management in Federal Public Service. Part of the new innovations and reforms on the service is succession planning. We have also produced a guide there to guide staff of ministries, departments, and agencies of government to understand what is succession planning and to have it domesticated in their ministries, departments, and agencies of government. Most of the work we do, we publish them in books, and we also have policy briefs that we produce. On the next slide, please. These are some of the work that we have done. Next slide. On the next slide. Next slide.